Okay. So anyway, what we're going to do today, our objectives are to organize your calendar for quarter three and help you guys understand what you have to do each week in order to earn an A. You guys can earn an A. Um, and it's not that much, actually. And Dustin, we kind of talked a little bit before you went on break, too. And then really our only lesson today, because we are totally changing directions and we're going to look at data analysis and statistics, is to just talk about a frequency table. And actually, you actually did post already. Just take what we get from our webinar today, maybe add to that post a little bit. I just want to make sure you understand what bins are, and those are also called levels too. But very good job. And then some important information to a successful quarter three. Guys, make sure that you're proficient with material. So if you do a lesson or you do an assignment, make sure you go back and see how you did. Because if you did horrible and then you just keep foraging ahead, you're just going to continue to do horrible and your grade will reflect that you did horrible. So just always go back, you guys. You know that I'm here to help you understand it and to become proficient. And I know that sometimes the first try around, it doesn't always work. So we just want to make sure to keep going back. Also, really be proactive about watching the, let Michaela in, be proactive about watching the lessons and taking notes. So make sure that you don't just skip to the assignment. Make sure that you actually watch the lessons, take some notes. And really with this data analysis and statistics unit, the lessons are pretty short and a lot of it quite easy compared to the algebra that you guys were doing. So I think you can all be very successful. So Michaela, how are you? I saw that you came in. I'm glad you figured out it was 11 because we changed the time. So I figured we wouldn't have very many people, but good job. The last thing is to plan to work each day every week. So if you don't work for 2 weeks, then you have so much to do and it can be overwhelming. But if you just work a little bit each day, you'll always be caught up, and then in fact you could even get ahead. So that brings us back to our objectives, that first one, organizing your calendar for quarter three. If you guys will notice in our weeks, and I'll take you guys over here. Here we are. So here we have, I'm going to move this over so you can see it better. So here we have week one. I'm going to go into the actual week. So everybody is in quarter three. Week one, all you really have, you have our webinar for today, and then you have 3 assignments is all. So if you plan to do 1 assignment each day, you would be done by Wednesday. Then really these assignments don't take that long. So if you work on assignment 1 was a frequency table, you get it done, then you're done for the day. And like I said, the lessons are fairly short, and I use some other sources like Virtual Nerd and a little bit of Khan sometimes with that. But you guys really, you can do it. So just don't not work on math each week. Make sure you do 1 assignment a week and you will be done. Done by Wednesday. So any questions about that at all? Hopefully those are all good. Not seeing any questions. Ashley, Dustin, Michaela, you guys are all good? Okay. All right. Oh, wait, one more thing, you guys. One more thing I just wanted to show you because you do have one. Sorry, let me go back. In one of our weeks, let me actually go to it. You won't be able to see it yet, but it's in week 5. Actually, you do have a Khan Academy practice. Okay, good, Michaela. You answered me very good. So you do have a Khan Academy practice, but I'm going to change the way I do it this time because I know that sometimes you guys have trouble logging into Khan, or you forget that to log into Khan, and then I really don't know how you did, and it's hard for me to help you, and it's hard for me to give you a grade. So what I'm going to do now instead, and I put some directions in your assignment so you can see, like this one, for example, is making a scatter plot. You'll go ahead and click on the Khan icon. You can either log in if you feel very comfortable logging in and you always remember to do it. And if you log in, that's all you have to do. I can see your practice. If you forget to log in, or you don't have a login, or you forgot your login name, you can just submit a screenshot like I did right here of your practice. So that means that you only practiced twice on this one. You got 1 right and 1 wrong. So I would obviously want to see more practices than this. This is just an example. sometimes it's hard to get 5 right, 5 in a row right, but if you get 3 and then you miss one, you get 2 and then you miss one, you could be done. Obviously I can tell. Ashley, do you have to do that or no? What do you mean, Ashley? Like, you mean do you have to do a screenshot, or do you mean do you have to log in? So type, let me know what you mean by that. This is actually not, this scatter plot's not till week 5 or something like that in the semester. But when you get to this, you can choose to either log in, or you can just give me a screenshot and I'll go into Khan so you guys can see what I'm talking about. But you can give me a screenshot of your results, and those are going to be right up here. Let's scoot this over so you can see it. So right up here, for example, it keeps track of what you did. So every time you check an answer, it'll keep track of what you did. So if you just give me a screenshot of this, maybe include the title, Constructing Scatter Plots. So for example, if I was going to take a screenshot, it would look like this. I would click and I would highlight, and then I would either save it or copy it, and I would upload that screenshot into my submission box under the Create tab. Okay? All right, you guys, that's pretty much all I wanted to go over. All right, so hopefully you guys are good, and we're going to be off to a great start. If you just keep, like I said, up with your work, you're going to do wonderful. All right, so let's start off with this. You guys, let's look at a frequency table. I just want to go over it a little bit just because the intervals and the bins can be a little bit confusing. So go ahead and choose a notepad and just write your name in it. And we're only going to use it just to record some data. We're going to record the ages of all your siblings in your pods. And you can put your half-brothers, your half-sisters, but go ahead and type your name in a student pod. So choose anyone you want. Very good, Michaela, you are student 1. Excellent. Ashley and Dustin, are you guys still with me? Very good, Dustin, very good. And Ashley, way to go. Okay, so just under your name, just put the ages of all your siblings. Like if you have a 1-year-old, that is a sibling. If you have a 20-year-old, just make a list of the ages of all your siblings. Oh, very good, Ashley. 13. Excellent. I'm not born yet. You could put 0 for that one. This is true. Very soon to be born. All right, Michaela, very good. Wow, you have a very large family so far, huh? Oh my goodness. Dustin, do you have any brothers and sisters, half-brothers, half-sisters? Oh my goodness, Michaela. You have a whole herd. So Dustin, is that correct? Just will you respond to me in the chat? Do you have any brothers or sisters, or half-brothers or sisters? Dustin. So Dustin, I'm just going to assume you're not with us if you're not responding. Okay, so it's just Ashley and Michaela here. Are you out, or did you take a break or something? I don't know. Dustin, siblings are like your brothers and sisters, right? Do you have any brothers? Do you have any sisters? Very good, Dustin, you are with us. Excellent. So you have one, and I knew you had a brother because he's in the Air Force, so very good. Okay, so what I'm going to do, you guys have recorded all these ages. So when we make a frequency table, which is going to help us make a histogram in our second lesson, we want to record all the ages, and we want to record them in numerical order, so smallest to greatest. So Ashley has a little one here, that's 0, so we're going to start with 0. So what you want to do is just record them all, and it looks like Michaela, okay, so I'm going to take just a second here, you guys, and just record them all in order. 13, we've got 3 13s actually. And looks like 20, or no, 18, almost missed your 18. So 18, 20, okay. Not a very fast reader. Sorry, you guys. 18, 20, and we've got a 21, two 21s, because Dustin's brother is 21, and then a 22, 28. Ashley, you have an old sibling, 32. Very old. So hopefully I got everybody. I know. Crazy. Okay. So once you have all of them written down in order, you can count and see how many you have. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we have a total of 12. And sometimes that can help us to create something called bins or intervals. So for creating our frequency table, we don't really necessarily want to have, and I'm just going to do a sample here, you guys, real quick. We don't necessarily want to list every single age right here because we have so many. And sometimes you might collect, 50. That was only 3 of you guys. And if we had had 6 people in our webinar, maybe we would have 30 ages. And that would just be a lot of ages to write down and collect data on. So what we do instead is we create a bin or we create an interval. So what that is we take and we create an interval from, say, 0 to 4, and then 5 to 9, and 6 to, as long as it's an even interval the whole way. So why don't you guys, in your notepads, give me an idea of what you want to do for intervals. So how far do you want to go up each time? Do you want to go by 2s? Do you want to go by 3s? Do you want to go by 4s? So kind of look at your data. Look at how spread out it is. We obviously don't want to go by 2s because we'd have 0, 1, and then, or 0, 1, 2, and then 3, 4, 5, or something like that. So that might not be a large enough bin, but then again, we don't want to get it to be too large. We don't want to go between 0 and 10, or we would only have 3 bins. So kind of a good number is you want, around 4 or 5 bins. Sometimes 3 is appropriate if you don't have very much data, but in this case, maybe we would want 3 or 4 bins, or maybe 5 actually. So in your notepads, write what interval you guys want to go by. You want to go 0 to 4, 5 to whatever. So go ahead and do that. I'll give you guys a second to kind of think about it. Okay, Michaela, what do you think? What do you want to go, what intervals do you want to go by? Do you want to go from 0 to 4, 0 to 5? How would you start? Zero to 5? Okay. Dustin, what about you? What would you want to go by? And Ashley, you too. What do you want to go by? So Dustin, my question to you is, what do you want to go by? How do you want to break these up into intervals? Because we want to group them into bins or intervals. So how do you want to go? Do you want to go between 0 and 4? Do you want to go by 4s? Do you want to go by 5s? So Michaela wrote she's going to go from 0 to 5 is how she wants to do her intervals. So how do you want to do your intervals? And Ashley, does that make sense? Okay, so Ashley, you said 0 to 5 also. Okay. And you don't have to, you guys can be different if you want. There's no right or wrong answer. And so when you're submitting your final submissions, everybody will probably have it broken down differently, and there is no way that's wrong, except for if you don't make intervals at all. So Dustin, what about you? What would you want to go by? Okay, 0 to 5, that's fine. So what I'm going to do then is we're going to keep our data so we don't lose it. So we will copy it and move it over here to our frequency table. Oops. And now it's down here. So let me move it up a little bit. Or maybe not. Actually, here. Let's do this. For some reason, it just wants to hang out with my table, so we'll do that. Okay, so we have all of our data, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to create our intervals or our bins from 0 to 5, like Michaela came up with initially. And again, you guys, you could do 0 to 4. It doesn't really matter. The key is that they have to be equal intervals the whole entire time. So let's go ahead and write our first interval in. So the way we would do that is we would go 0 to 5. Okay, so now we're not actually including 5 when you do that. It's actually up through 4, but it doesn't include 5. So on the next one, we would say that we're going from 5 to, and we have to have the same amount of things in between. So on this one, we are including the 0, the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4. So that's 5 we're going by. So here we would include 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So then we would say 5 to 10. So I'm hoping that makes sense to you guys. So on the next one, we would start with 10. And again, we want to make sure that we have 5 numbers in our intervals. So we would count 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, which means we would go ahead and put a 15 here, and so on and so forth. Okay, and then I would need to keep going until I covered my last interval, which is 32. So I'm going to 30, and then I'm going to go ahead and go to 35. So I could have made my bins a little bit bigger because now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I could have gone from 0 to 7 maybe and had, 7 in there. And so it just kind of depends. But the key for you guys is that this 5 right here, and let me just circle it, that 5 is not included. So that means the 10 on the next one is not included, the 15, etc., etc. So this is the tricky part when you make frequency tables, and people tend to get a little bit confused by that. Okay, so now we're going to do our tallies. So we're going to see how many numbers fall within this first interval or bin. So we've got 1, right? And I'm going to scratch it out when we do it. So we just have 1. And then the next one we go from 5 to 10. But remember, we don't include the 10. But again, I only have 1 here. And on the next one, I have 1, 2, 3. So I put my, well, actually, when you're doing tallies, let me just redo that a little bit. So when you're doing tallies, we tend to just do this, 1, 2, 3, to keep track that way. 15 to 20, we really only have 1 because we don't include 20. And then the next one, 20 to 25, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 in the next one. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then from 25 to 28, or sorry, 25 to 30, we have 1, that's 28. And then our last one, we would also have 1 as well. Okay, and notice then, you guys, how I scratched them off as I went. And then our final step is just to tally it up. So this is where we actually write how many we have in each category. Okay, and a lot of times you won't just have 1, and so, as you're scratching off, you're making your tally. So this is how we make a frequency distribution. Are there any questions on this frequency distribution before we do our final thing? Michaela, Dustin, Ashley, how are you guys? Any questions? Any questions? No? Okay. Dustin, Ashley, you got it? Okay, what about you, Dustin? Hey, Dustin, how are you doing? Are you there? You seem very slow to respond over there at Gateway. You're great. Are you lost with what we just did? So Dustin, I'm not getting a response from you, and you said you were lost, so I just want to make sure. Okay, Ashley, that's fine. So Dustin, if you could let me know where you're lost so that I could help you. Okay. So just to recap, we listed all of our data, and you guys will be collecting some data on this yourself. Then we broke it into intervals. So I broke it in from 0 to 5, 5 to 10, because that's what Michaela originally suggested. And that works perfectly fine. But we could also break it into bigger intervals. We could go 0 to 9 or something like that, and 10 to 19, and as long as the intervals were even. All right, you guys. Well, I'm going to move ahead, Dustin. Oh, you have a lot of background noise. Well, you can always come back and watch the recording too, or it might be good to stay in the conference room with the headphones. That might help too. Okay, you guys, let's actually do our final thing then. Let's actually look at our histogram. So I'm going to go back and forth a little bit just so that you can see. And I'm only going to do a kind of a rough overview because you will have a separate lesson on histograms. But from that frequency table, what you guys are going to do is try to build a histogram. And the one thing that I want to tell you about this too, because that ends up being confusing for some people, is how we label the histogram. And always this y-axis here always represents our frequency. Okay, so that's how many times it occurred. And if we go back to the histogram, you guys notice we listed the frequency here. So you already have that data listed, and that's what's going to go here on the frequency. And then on the bottom is kind of our subject, what we're measuring. And on the bottom, in this case, we measured number of siblings, or age of siblings, sorry, not number. Age of siblings. And so that's how we would label this. And make sure in your assignment that you include these labels. And then usually we want to have some kind of a title like age of siblings of Core 1 students or something like that. Okay. And then, like I said, we're just going to look at this real quickly. So the way we would do it is we have our bins here, 0 to 5, 5 to 10, and that's what we put down here on the bottom. So this first one, obviously 0 is here, and I'm just going to do a couple. So this is 0 to 5, right? And then we go to 10, and we actually knew that we kept going 15, 20, blah, blah, blah. So if I look here, back on my table, we had one sibling that was aged between 0 and 5, not including 5. So hopefully this is transferring back and forth for you guys. So on my frequency here, and if I look again, once again, back on my frequency table, the highest I go is 4. So when I'm constructing this frequency table, that's the highest I need to go is 4. So I can do 1, 2, 3, 4 here and label those because that's the frequency again. So like I said, on our first one, we only had one sibling between 0 and 5, and one between 5 and 10, and then 3 between 10 and 15. So the way we do it is we make a little bar. We only had one between 0 and 5. We also only had, one between 0 and 10, but then we had 3 between 0 and 15. Okay. And my line's off a little bit, but you guys get the point. So these are our frequency bars here, and you would keep going all the way out until you had your frequency table built into a histogram. And this is going to be beneficial later because we're going to be analyzing data by looking at the shapes of histograms. All right, you guys, good, Ashley, I'm glad you're back. So any questions? The key for today really is just coming up with these frequency tables, because from these tables, we want to make sure they're done correctly so that we can build a histogram, which will get us into our data analysis in the next week or so. So any questions on any of that, you guys? Okay, so I'm not seeing any at this time. All right, so what I want you guys to do then, okay, Michaela, good, is to wrap up, and this is your ticket out. So what you're going to do is explain what you learned in the discussion in Schoology. That's your ticket out for today, and that's how you get credit for our webinar. So if I go over to the, let me go back over to it. Let me get there. And it's going to be here. So if I go back over to Schoology, and let me go to the correct unit, Unit 4, Week 1. And I know, Ashley, you did already post, but then I want you to go ahead and add a little more information about those bins or intervals. So what you want to do is explain, you learned how to collect and organize data into a frequency table. Explain how you would organize the following data, including how you would set up your ranges. So you guys need to tell me, would you set it up based on this data? What would be the best? Would you go from, 0 to 3, or would you go from 0 to 4? Or maybe you would just start at 1, and then how high would you go? So I want you to describe what you learned, including how to make intervals and bins, and then explain how you would set this data up. So you'll come down here and add to that. Okay, okay, you guys. Raise your hand if you are ready to do that and you feel pretty good about explaining what we learned today. So raise your hand on the hand thing. Oh, very good, Michaela. Nice job. You're with it. So, Michaela, you can go out and you can start the discussion in Schoology. And who else? Okay, good, Michaela. So you are good. And then Ashley. Okay, bye, Michaela. Thanks for coming. Ashley and Dustin. So you guys raise your hand if you are ready to go to the discussion. And Dustin, you're going to actually watch it. Okay. Ashley, how about you? Are you ready to go out to the discussion? Ah, very good, Ashley. Okay, good. Okay, well, head on out, and you did a really good job, Ashley, of doing an initial discussion. So just kind of read through it and see if you can add a little bit more specifics about your ranges. But it looked pretty good so far. All right, Dustin, and I'll get this up for you to watch today. So then you can rewatch it again, and then just let me know for sure if you have any questions. Okay, you guys, that's the end of our webinar today, and I'll see you guys next week at 11.